అనే మార్గదర్శకం ఇస్తారు. తర్వాత మనం అక్కడ వెళ్ళి సంఘీభావం చెప్పొద్దాము. ఏం గారు మాట్లాడారు
చేసుకుని పోదాం. ఒక 20-30 మంది ఎక్కడ వరకు పోలిస్తే అక్కడ వరకు పోదాం.
The demand of the round table is, or submission of the round table is that the course of action.
Thank you very much for having me here in this round table. And in the beginning, when Kiran told me to come here, and I thought it is a kind of a lecture or what exactly, I don't know. And then our conversation was very short. During the time I was driving, that's why I am not really sure what is the kind of program. And then I feel really at home, and then I would like to thank you for welcoming and giving this kind of a platform, and then for extending solidarity to those victims. To those victims in the violence in Manipur who are being targeted, especially those targeted victims I'm talking about. It is not all the tribals are being targeted, but there are certain tribes which are being targeted, and then those victims, and then for the extensions of your support and then solidarity through your songs, and then I really feel happy when I hear the songs. And then there is a saying in our in our society also, there is a saying that songs are words are songs. And the same thing, like whatever the kind of revolutionary songs which we hear today, and the kind of support which we have extended to our brothers and sisters who are being oppressed, and then in various forms they are being totally targeted, and then people used to call it ethnic cleansings, and not only that, with a kind of intent of a genocide. And then we can think of that it is a kind of a genocide, which maybe some people may think that it is too big a term to use, but if we really know the gravity of the situation and the reality of what's happening over there, it is not lesser than that. That's what I would like to say. And then the kind of situation in which we are in, it reminds me of the introductory paragraph of this, The Tale of Two Cities, written by Charles Dickens, which I'm not going to quote, but I would like to say that this is a very difficult time, unique, and that we are very sure of what is going to happen, but we cannot believe it. That is the situation in which we are in. And then the kind of the patterns of how things are unfolding, we are very sure of what is going to happen, but we can't believe that. We don't want to believe this. And then it is very predictable, but we don't want to predict it at all. It is very uncertain, but it is really certain. This is the kind of a situation in which we are caught in. And then whom to trust when you cannot trust the state force? Whom to trust when the state government is complicit in the kind of violence in which we are supposed to be saved by the state and state forces? And then when the people whom we trust are silent, what are we going to do with them? And then where do we have to turn to? There is no way, there is no place where we have to look to. And then I really feel at home here, and then being welcomed here and sharing. And though I come with all these papers, I realize that it is not required. I realize that it is not a lecture, it is about charcha. It is about discussion with my own brother and sister here who are ready to support, who have extended already their solidarity. And thank you for that. I, on behalf of my own peoples who are back home, would like to extend our gratitude to each and every one of you who who have expressed their solidarity in this form. And that there are much more things to do, and it is not likely going to be ended just like that. Last night itself also there was a shootout in the buffer zone. And then the place where I come from as I belong to the district called Churachandpur, the southern district, which the name itself also was imposed. The king that never ruled the areas, and then that name was imposed in 1983 with an office holder, mayor office holder. And there was a lot of debate about that, not only that, protest about the name of the district itself. That is the kind of a situation in which the tribals are caught in Manipur. And then Pasim talks about sixth schedule. Sixth schedule has been demanded by the hill tribes, and then there are others hill tribes. They don't have to demand; it is just given to them by the Constituent Assembly by forming a subcommittee or bilateral committees and are given to them, the tribal areas. But the tribals of Manipur have been demanding, and then they are the only tribes, the only tribal group who are not covered under 6th schedule of the Constitution. They are not a part of the schema of the 6th schedule. Just think about that. And then no others hill tribe in the northeastern region, except when they deny there is different things like the Naga hills, which become the Nagaland state. They are not a part of it. And then they have been demanding, and then they were given some kind of district council, and that was not under CISA. That is one thing which I like to say, the kind of the situations and then what kind of problem which they are facing. Because of that one, now it is a blessing sometimes if we just see from the same district, if we are here in Hyderabad University, that is also, but if we think that we have our own university, do we really have a place? Sometimes we do ask that. And then there was a time when I complained even in the tribal National Commission for Scheduled Tribe regarding the kind of reservation point in the universities also as a student was there. And so those are the kind of discrimination, marginalization, and exclusion. I have to come to this the kind of problem which we are having on the third name. And then recently I came across a reviews of one book. David Livingstone Smith have written Less Than Human, The Psychology of Cruelty. And then it is written that dehumanization opens a door for cruelty and genocide. So, and then the person who is writing, he extended the kind of namings and the name callings and the kind of things and how during the Holocaust the Nazis referred the Jews as rats. And then the Hutu called the Tutsi as cockroach in the Rwanda genocide problems. So if we just look at that one, the kind of name calling is very much a part of these atrocities also. And then the Meitei called the hill tribes as how to, Minai, Lawai, all these kind of things as a derogatory term. And but at the end they demanded scheduled tribe again status or scheduled tribe status. They want to become the whole derogatory terms which they want to make, or is there is something a politics written behind? There is something which we have to unravel, or what exactly is the kind of policy which they are following? That is something which is really a big question. And then the kind of narrative which has been going on since the early 2000s in the sense like 2010 and from 9 I think, that there is a kind of manufacturings of what we call insecurity. Some kind of insecurity pretense is there among the majority. And just think about this one. wherever there is an insecurity, whether it's concocted or manufactured or whatever, constructed, wherever there is insecurities of the majority, there is always a problem. And then you can apply in various places, and then I'm very sure what I am trying to say. You are very sure I know you know that where you can apply. When the majority felt threatened, what do happen? What thing happen? That is something that is something the narrative has been going on. That's why the ILP, the inner line permit system demand was also going on, and then that insecurity has been built up again and again. And one thing is that, like the kind of which they have one of the civil society organization compiled a document entitled "Influx of Migrants into Manipur: The Trade of Indigenous Ethnic People" in 2005. And then another thing which was published in 2011, Tanglei Park Inner Line Permit System Amasung Masiki A. That is something what from the one of the person who has written says that he is in his what do you call in his writings, in his journal papers, he has written that this is something similar to what UN Mukherjee's pamphlet "Hindus, a Dying Race" of 1909. So some kind of similarities. That's what the Malem Ninthosa has written. So there is a kind of a what we call some kind of a pretense of what we call insecurity. And then when the majority felt insecurity, they are doing various things. And there are various factors, not only this. And then so the name calling comes, they refer to us as refugees, and they refer to us as illegal immigrants and poppy cultivators. And then that one is going on, like from the top, all these things are being shifted from one to another, and then at last they rest somewhere in June 7. They say that narco terrorists, the Chin cookie narco terrorists. And then all these things after another, they keep on changing the kind of stain which they say. And then there is something which, and then on the 7th, Kokomi, the conglomerations of the civil society organization declare war, which I call Manipur National War Against Chin Cookie Narco Terrorists. Where does it begin? It begins from refugees, illegal immigrants, poppy cultivators, narco terrorism. And then when all these things, just like what we call rats, lice, and then or cockroach or that kind of things, and dehumanizing in various forms, and then all the kind of things. How can you politicize this? How can you ethnicize some kind of an act which is illegal, which already is a criminal in itself? And then you are ethnizing to, and then give it to somebody, and then put the tag to somebody. After when everything, the narrative is constructed, you declare war against them. On the 7th, it is been the Kokomi has declared war to Manipur National War against Chin Cookie narco terrorists. So that is the kind of a gist which as a kind of introductory which I like to give. And then the latest information which I got last night is that the number of dead is 129 plus now, because we can, whichever is confirmed is 129, and then it is believed that it will be more. And the number of churches being burned is 266, and including the quarters, halls, and then the church, institutional buildings, and all the things, that is 357. The number of tribal settlement attack 292 plus. Number of relief center right now. This is what the way forward, which Robert Hans has talked about. 105 relief camps in Lamka town, Lamka and surrounding Churchanpur district, and then 199 relief camps across all the hill district area, Ampopi, Cycle areas, More, and all that kind of things. So number of this place reported in the relief camp is 3 to 735, means 32,735. So that is the kind of the latest statistic, and it could be more because these are the only one which are reported in the relief camps who are settling in. And then this is a tropical region, and then it is a raining season. And in the rainy season, what do you expect throughout rain, and then how will they survive in that? Some of them still most probably hiding in the forest. We are not very sure that because it is raining, and then how can we really? At the same time, it is not free for us to go around and then check all these things also, because there are much more things to do. You have to guard your border. And then there is immediately after the third, because I'm not going to talk details about the third incidents and all these things because you have read in the newspaper. After the third, what the MLA, the 10 MLA says it. After all the cookies of people are flushed out from and literally cleansing, ethnic cleansing they call it. And then when they are being chased out from Imphal, they said it now, and then some of those who are settled in Lamka town in Chorchanpur are also being chased out and then being sent. And then after that, the population exchange has been done, the partition has been done. Why don't you formalize that partition? That is what they demand, and then that's what they call separate administration. You must have thought about that if you read all those things that comes up. Because they cannot think of going back and settling Imphal. And then when you cannot living and then when you cannot settle in the capital city, how can you participate in the state functioning? The functioning of the state, it is not possible. And then a kind of transfer from the valley to the hills, some cases from the hills they are transferred to the hills, and that kind of and real population exchange has been done, which remind us of the partition of the 1947. And then there is a kind of a situation in which the helpless tribals who they don't have any place to turn to. I would like to say one thing about how there will be a lot of question about from the valley dwellers, in the sense like we are more than 50 something percent, and then we occupy only 10% of the total geographical area. That is exactly true. But how Manipur is constructed during the colonial period is something which we have to talk about. And why the government is helping protecting the tribal land. Manipur was a princely state, very small in that particular 10% of the total population. During the colonial time, they call it 650 square miles. During the colonial times, in some of the books, like Dr. Round books, the statisticals of Manipur and all that things in 18 something. And then it is just a small kingdom of, and then in that, the hills is another different entity, political entity. The valley, that small valley is another kingdom. And then it is the British who brought us together, who brought the hill to the valleys together. And there are certain narrative, even in my paper also, one of my papers in EPW, I negate that one. There are people that the British comes and then they divide and rule policies and all this. It is not. It is the British who brought us together in the princely state of Manipur. And that's why till now also what we call the outer Manipur constitution, right? There's some kind of the things, and then the British immediately in 1891, the British annexed Manipur. And then, but during that time also there is no regular administrations is being set up in the hill areas. Only after the Kuki risings, or in the local terms, that some people call it the Jogar, or and then the Kuki scholar will say that the Anglo-Kuki War. during that time, during the First World War, they raised a war against British, and then during that time, when it is all 2 years the British take to take a successful political measures against the population. Have you ever come across any war found in India against the British more than 2 years? No. This is the only, and then they spent 28 lakhs. So after that, they say that it is because of the indirect administration. So we have to do direct administrations and then take control of the hills. Then only a regular administration is given to the hill. Then only that, only the British officer has to be in charge of that, because they don't want to give that the new area under the Darbar of the Raja. And then this goes on, this a little bit of separation was going on even after 1947. The British, when they were about to leave, they draft a constitution along with the local, and then they call it Manipur State Constitution. And then for that, during that time also, they have a separate regulation for Manipur Hill Area Regulation, 1940s. So different rule they make it because they are very sure, British sure that it is not conquered by the Raja. It is the British who brought us into the fold of the Raja. And then, but they don't want the hill tribes to be under the Raja. That is kind of a arrangement. That's why they, the hill tribes also are very sure that their ancestral land is what they brought when they are becoming part of Manipur. And then in that situation, how can you just say that you can give away that where your ancestor, where your forefathers become the soil in that, buried in that, and then to give away this land, who will do that? And that is the kind of a thing which the Adivasi, indigenous people are talking about. Why they cannot? If they have just only a kind of a gun, single barrel, double barrel, they have to stood guard through the village. But when the state complicity, the state involvement is there, then for those helpless tribal, it is very difficult to defend their village. That's why many of their villages and in the foothills are gone, burnt down. And then there is that is the process where the two women in the viral video clips, that is in the foothill, they bring it down to the valley fields and all the things that what we all of us have witnessed, and who have the guts to see the whole movie, the whole clips, not the movie, of course. So that is something which we have to be very clear. 10%, okay, no problem. If you don't keep to yourself all the central institutions that need a large campus, like the universities, like agricultural universities, and around 7, 8 of all those big universities are inside the 10%. There is not even a single campus of the Manipuri universities also in the village. And then that is the kind of imagination which they are. And then most of the times, I do calculate that one, for example, the hill areas, if it is 10% is just only the value, out of 22,000 something, the whole areas, if you just take out 10%, it means 20 square kilometers, right? Just divided that one into 10 and 20 MLSC, which is given to the hill tribe. That means 10,000, 1,000 square kilometers. That is on an average. We can just, this is a simple mathematics. And then in that, but if we divide the 10% from 3 for the 40 MLAs in the valley, then it is around coming around from 51 square kilometers. But the MLA development fund is the same. How can you? That's why the hill is not accessible. In 2004 itself, also Praveen Swami in front line, he said that he, beyond the town, the Indian state did not exist. I quote. That is the kind of, I think, that has happened. But on the top, the thing which everyone says, I would like to negate a little bit. They say that it is the things that happen on the top is because of the tribal solidarity march against the tribal status demand, the ST status demand by the late. That is not true. The solidarity march in each and every hill district headquarters was concluded in around 2. And then from the district headquarters to the place, the border of the district headquarters, it can be somewhere around 10 kilometers. That's what they usually call Kangpai or Torbung, that place, that's the border village. From the hill, Bisempur, that is the Bedi place, Bedi district, and then the hill district. That border villages, Kangpai and Torbung, all those areas. That when those people coming back from participating, some people they are just walking, and then those who are walking are being waylaid by some people and then attacked. In that, one succumbed to death in the hospital. And then before that, the Anglo-Buki Wars Centenary Memorial Gate was burned. And then there is a kind of accusation that the Kuki burned themselves. Why would the pride of their own people, their historical events memorial gate, why should they burn them by themselves? In fact, there are some people who saw it, and then when they call people to really interrogate why do you burn, they run away. But then there are kinds of provocations that take place on that particular top mail. And if we look at that one, what you can see is that in Manipur, those who wage war, I think the Kupito people are the only ones who have a long war against the British. Of course, there are some others also, and the British call it the Palace Uprising, and then the Meiji call it Manipur, Anglo-Manipuri War, and all that kind of things. That is a different thing. Each and every one of us want to say that this, in the big town, that is always the interpretation of history. But only when you own your land, you are ready to sacrifice. That's what they do in the Anglo-Buki. That is what, and then you will come across nowadays the narrative saying that there has never been such thing called Anglo-Buki War or Buki Rising, so what it is. Though it is written in the British report everything, they want to deny it because they want to destroy the history of the Adivasi, the history of the indigenous people. Once you destroy their history, then it is like they never exist. And then you can call them what you can call them, refugee, illegal immigrants, and all the things. The name all you can start. That's what they are trying to do there. Though there is a lot of historical record, and then you are trying to do away with that. And then even the why do you have that? Is not disturbing at all. The Anglo-Buki War Centenary, it is quite tall. And then it is not that the full loaded truck will be disturbed or something like that. It is not. But some people have a problem with that because they want to destroy the history, the achievements of the Bukizo people. So that is the main things, and then with that they started. So these are the three things which are coming up. Like they beat up, they waylaid those people who are participating. When they concluded the solidarity march from the district headquarters, they come walking, and then they were being waylaid and then attacked, in which one succumbed to die in the hospital. And then with that provocations of the burning of the gate, and with that, when people are not ready, they cannot react. So they started burning those villages around 2-3 houses. Then only the tribal also put gators and then people they started usually in Manipur. What do they do? Electric poles is being banned, and then people come together and the kind of a scuffle and skirmish were there, and then but the wonderful things and then which I was really surprised is that how could they locate all the charts within a few hours? That is something which is very much a part and parcel of the pre-plan, which people would like to say. It is really pre-planned and organized. And then many of the students also they say that organized violence and all these things. And then I'm not going to add into that one, but we can really see that the complicities of the state in various forms. But that allegation they may call it. But when we look at that, the kind of how they delayed the declarations of this the order of CRPC 144, and then the student side come later on after everything has been almost done, and then the delay give ample time for those people who are perpetrators of the violence to burn that much of charge. Housing burning is okay. House burning is okay. You can one and then the next one. But the church are quite apart. So how do they coordinate within the span of a few hours to burn that much of 100 in terms of 100? Sorry. That is for what we call planned. And then when we plan properly and then execute it, of course, it will be like that complete. And then there are lots of things which I prepared about the histories and all that kind of things, and then I don't feel the need of it as of now. And then another thing is that the main is how who are perpetrating and all that kind of things is one thing which is the issue, because I try to cut short my speech as it is about to be said. So one thing is that when all these things are there, and there is a kind of a rumor that 355 is being declared, and then when we ask the police officers and all those in the higher rank, I never come across that kind of orders. And then of course the paramilitaries and even the armies, around 40,000 they say that has been posted. And what I would like to verify is that all these things burning and flushing out of those ethnic cleansing is possible because of that in that area there is no AFPA. And Ajay Bhai talk about AFPA. Of course AFPA as it is conceptualized, I am totally against it. In a democratic country, how can we have AFPA? But when we have a terrorist group, like out of 7 militant groups in Manipur, 6 are considered, and then the Ministry of Home Affairs declared as terrorist group. And then they are even involved in those killings of 18 Jawans in 2015 and all of that. And then in Manipur now it is a problem that there are various terms which newly coming up is that as a sociologist teachers, I do teach about mob. And then whenever we want to differentiate mobs and others, we call it is not organized. But nowadays, how do we have organized mob? That is the new kind of terms that come out in Manipur. Organized mob are attacking. It is not sometimes to avoid that once some people use miscreant, but the mobs are quite organized. And then when you say the mob, it is a little bit okay, it is a mob lynchings or something, and then we tend to think in the other way. But when the mob are quite organized, that is this type. It doesn't you call them mob, but they are much more trained to do that kind of things. And then their leaders also in their interview they admit that they give training to those members. And that is the kind of things that happens in Manipur. And one thing is that now the problem is going on. It is an ongoing process. As I said last night also there was a shootout in the buffer zone. And then sometimes AFSPA in itself also, though we are totally against, it is the hill people in some areas. They say that though we don't mind it, that is the necessary evidence. That's why they didn't take out in certain area. Because in 2004, you must remember that the Meitei militants who are in Sajik Tampak were being flushed out by the Indian army. And after that, when they flush out, they hide in the hill areas. And then in the vicinities of the village where they hide, they put landmine. And around 24, 25 people are injured, and some are maimed, some are their eyes have popped out because of the landmine. And that during that time also, it is the Indian army who helped us to sweep that village. That kind of things is really for academician, though in principle we are totally against alpha. How can those people who are back home, they say that it is a necessary evil because of the kind of the situation in which we are caught in, that there is no one to turn to. Nowadays, it comes out in the newspaper yesterday that the Assam Rifle filed a case against the civil society organizations from the Valley. That these are new things are coming up in Manipur. You will find these things because Manipur, as I said, that valley, the Manipur kingdom, is a place where the confluence of the Naga hills, the Chin hills, the Mizo hills, the Kachar hills, and the tip of the hills are being sliced out by the British, how far they could administer, and then made Manipur the colonial Manipur. And in that they have their own cognate tribes across. That's why the Nagas demand for reunification of the Naga independent area that affect Manipur. The Mizo, during the Mizo movement also they demand the present place where it is burning right now, and then but they could not succeed, and then so it is at the mercy. Everything is the hill tribes of Manipur are at the mercies of the majority, and the majoritarians and all those peoples are taking advantage of their numbers. And then so far the hill tribes never succeed in any kind of demand except for the 3 bills in 2015. That somehow they managed to do that. That one also, without following due procedure, they introduced in past. So that is the kind of situation in which they are caught in. So if they, why people used to say that SD demand itself also, they think that they are in OBC, SC, General, EWS, and then if they become in ST, all of these they can combine, right? That all the kind of argument they give. But to me, during that time when the modification list was made, they are very much aware because they are the ones who is majority in the state, in the government, but they don't want to include themselves. If you follow the 55 that the report, the Backward Classes Commission report by Kaka Palekar, in the report, an excerpt made, it will be written that the questionnaire. Actually, the method which they are doing is that they send the questionnaire to each and every state and union territories. Which group of people you would like to call SCST? They send it, and then the field form comes back, and then on the basis of that they write a recommendation. So during that time they don't want to include, but with all those things as Ajay has spoke about, the chromite depositions and all that kind of things, all those minerals and all the things have, even in 2018, the Manipur government, without doing the procedure, following anything, they signed MOU to explore chromite in Ukhrul district and Chandel district. They signed MOU with that without following due procedure, taking consent or any kind of a survey, is environmental survey or anything. They just sign like that. And then that is because they don't really care. It is that people are living over it. And then whenever that kind of things now also, the problems of one thing, reserve forest, the problems of protected forest, all these things also have never followed a due procedure. And then the people living over there, some of them even don't know, only when it comes down to it. And then their houses are being destroyed as a drive of that money. Those are the things that have come up. So this is something which is going on, and the atrocities and all the kind of the violence is as Boyu has already said about what exactly happened on the fort, and then the virals of the video clips. It is not only that. How the present situation is that the hill, Manipur map, I just draw one Manipur map here. Manipur map is like this. The center is, the Manipur map is like this, if you have. The center is the valley. And then surrounding, of course, hill areas are not really a good place and not the best or the fertile place compared to the valley. The valley is the most fertile place. They can double proportion. The hills, they don't know how to go about, and then slash and burn, destruct trees, and all those are very destructive that it could not sustain them also anymore. But the area is big. And then just look at that one, this one. Here, all the four hills, there has to be some kind of the hill tribes has to stand guard. The attack comes from the valley, and then what they usually say is that whenever they come forward to attack the hills, some of them got killed also. And then stay home, stay safe, the public mantra they are talking about. But people come from the valley and attack. And then Manipur, there will be some kind of a normalcy in terms of violence only when the attack stop. That is my understanding. And then, because the hill tribes will not go down and attack the hill villages, it will be very difficult and risky. When the state complicity is also visible. That is the kind of things. And so, as I said in the beginning, all those the lecture which I am prepared, I am not doing that anymore. And then here, I am just having a discussion with my own brother and sister here who extend their solidarities, and thank you very much for the solidarity extended to the victims of those state violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramkant Priyanji. Very enlightened address. It dwelled on so many things which we are unaware of. Actually, there should be a lecture by you, classroom lecture. You should go to university, Hyderabad University, and listen to it. You will come to Hyderabad University. We hold a meeting there also.
Yes.
Go there, all of us, and we should hold rallies and meetings in all Telangana universities. Only then we should plan for Telangana. That will be preparatory for the Banka.
Mr. Rally.
Now, we are aghast to know that 6th schedule is not enforced in Manipur.
That is the only place in North.
Only North. That is the only state in Northeast among 7 sisters. The only state where 6th schedule is not enforced. How can it be? If 6th schedule is not enforced, where are the rights for tribals? Valley is very fertile area. What about this? They are living under
District Council
district council.
election, the last election was in 2015 and 20 is supposed to be a new election, but the chief minister never conducted. They keep on extending and until now it has never been election.
Never take place. District autonomous councils. Elections should take place. Without elections, how can there be democracy in district autonomous councils? It goes on postponing. Which means there is no democracy, no
No local democracy.
Yeah. So, if you go to Meda, all of us should visit Meda Lake also. Meda Lake in Gadchiroli district in Maharashtra. Next, just 60 kilometers from Hyderabad. We will see when Union Minister and Shivraj Singh Chauhan wanted to visit the village, they said no. The Gram Sabha will decide who to visit our village, who not to visit. They said no. Union Minister Jairam Ramesh and Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Chief Minister, were denied entry by Gram Sabha of a village where 5th schedule in force. They say मुंबई में हमारा सरकार, दिल्ली में हमारा सरकार, मेंढालेखा में हम सरकार. And Supreme Court said Gram Sabha is more, Gram Sabha in 5th schedule area and 6th schedule area is more powerful than Supreme Court and Parliament of India, which is absent in Northeast. People who champion the cause of tribals in Northeast, Himalayan tribes, whether it is Yamandar or Vernier, they were defamed. They were defamed by successive governments, not one government. All champions of tribal people were defamed. That is state of affairs. The extensively to Northeast, Yamandar and Vernier. We have gone to, they came all the way from Australia, Austria, London, England. We are not going there. Oh, where are we? We are like fractional wells. We should visit Northeast. Only then we will understand better the picture of India. That you have given very enlightening lectures, sir. We are thankful to you. We are all with you. We finally, I say, entire civil society in Hyderabad and Telangana is with you. We आपके साथ रहेंगे, धूप में भी हो, छाव में भी हो. धूप में और छाव में आप साथ रहेंगे. Lastly, I request Bandi Kiran, is the prime organizer. He will propose a vote of thanks. Though it is a ritual, he has to perform the ritual.
మిత్రులారా, ఇక్కడికి ఇచ్చేసిన వివిధ సంఘాలు, భక్తులు, మేధావులందరికీ కూడా మణిపూర్ శాంతి స్థాపన సంఘీభావ సన్నాహ కమిటీ ఉద్యమవందనాలు తెలియజేస్తుంది. మిత్రులారా, అందరూ మాట్లాడిన దాన్ని బట్టి, వివిధ సంఘాలు మాట్లాడిన దాన్ని బట్టి ఒక 5 తీర్మానాలు అనేది అనుకోవడం జరిగింది. ఈ 5 తీర్మానాలను నేను ముందు ప్రవేశపెట్టాను. దాన్ని చప్పట్ల ద్వారా ఆమోదించాను. ఒకవేళ మీకు దాన్ని సందర్భం ఆమోదం. మొదటిది, కూకీ గిరిజన ప్రజలకు తెలంగాణ హైదరాబాద్ నివాసానికై సిద్ధంగా ఉంటుంది. హోమ్ టు ద సిటీ. రెండవది, సంఘీభావ కమిటీ విద్యార్థి వివిధ ప్రజా సంఘాలతో మణిపూర్ గిరిజన ప్రజల మరియు వాస్తవ పరిస్థితులపై ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఫైండింగ్ డేట్ ఫిక్స్ చేసి చెప్తాము. ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఫైండింగ్ అయితే ఇక్కడ ఉండే మేధావులు, విద్యార్థి నాయకులు, వివిధ హక్కుల సంఘాలు అన్నింటినీ కలుపుకొని అక్కడికి ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఫైండింగ్ వెళ్ళాలనేది ఉన్నాయి. మూడోది, ఇక్కడ నుండి వారికి అవసరాలు మరియు ఇతర వస్తు రూపంలో పోగు చేసి పంపడం. నాలుగవది, వివిధ విశ్వవిద్యాలయాల్లో సభలు, ర్యాలీలు, తర్వాత విద్యా సంస్థల బంద్కు, ఆ తర్వాత తెలంగాణ బంద్కు సన్నాహాలు చేస్తాం. ఐదవది, దీంట్లో భాగంగానే కరపత్రం మరియు సాలిడారిటీ పోస్టర్ తీసుకొచ్చి విస్తృతమైన ప్రచారాన్ని చేసి ఏదైతే సంఘ్ పరివార్ చేస్తుందో దానికి వ్యతిరేకంగా వాస్తవాలను చూపించి ఆ సాలిడారిటీ పోస్టర్, కరపత్రం తీసుకురావాలి. కాబట్టి ఈ యొక్క 5 పాయింట్లకు సంబంధించి 5 తీర్మానాలను ఈరోజు ఈ రౌండ్ టేబుల్లో పెట్టడం జరిగింది మిత్రులారా. తర్వాత ఏవైతే ఈ తీర్మానాలు అనుకున్నామో వాటి విషయంలో అలానే సన్నాహ కమిటీకి సంబంధించిన రూపము, అలానే దీంట్లో ఎవరెవరు ఉంటారు, అన్ని సంఘాలు కలుపుకోవడమే. కాబట్టి ఆ సంఘాలన్నింటినీ తీసుకొని ఎవరెవరు అక్కడికి వస్తారనేది కూడా, కొంత లిమిటేషన్స్ ఉండొచ్చు, లేదా లేని వాళ్ళు ఉండొచ్చు, వాళ్ళందరినీ కూడా తీసుకొని వాళ్ళు వచ్చేవారు ఉంటే మణిపూర్కి వెళ్ళారు. ఆ డేట్ అనేది అందరి దృష్టిలో తీసుకొని ఆ డేట్ అనేది ఫిక్స్ చేసి చెప్తాం. కాబట్టి ఇక్కడ విచ్చేసిన అందరికీ కూడా ఉద్యమవందనాలు తెలియజేస్తూ థ్యాంక్ యూ.